Have you been following the headlines lately? The real headlines. In September, institutional traders purchased $8.1 billion worth of put options. The wealthiest and most experienced traders are betting that the stock market is about to collapse, and they've purchased more put options at one time than ever before in the history of the stock market. Pope Francis ordered Vatican-linked institutions to transfer all of their assets to the Vatican Bank by September 30th. CIA insider Jim Richards reports the collapse of the monetary system is now imminent. And JP Morgan Chase chief executive Jamie Dixon warns something worse than a recession could be coming. So what exactly is going on, and what are we not being told?
What happened in 2021, I believe, when we abandoned Afghanistan, on that day, Saudi Arabia shifted allegiances from America, trading in dollars, petrodollars. Saudi Arabia switched sides to China and Russia. It's the end of the dollar system. So the end is near for the US dollar, and my concern is it's going to wipe out stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. Just for my generation, the boomer generation, we're in serious trouble.
When the dollar collapses, you'll see an end of the devaluation of gold and silver. If you look at the US debt clock, it reflects the actual value of gold and silver rather than the central bank manipulated value that is reflected in the current spot prices.
Instead of fixing the problem from 2008, they just kept printing more money. And it's about to come to an end. So that's why when I say to people, buy gold, silver, and Bitcoin. You want to stay in what I call real assets, tangible assets.
The dollar has held Tier 1 status for years as the world reserve currency because oil is purchased in US dollars, but the days of the US petrodollar are coming to an end. All of the analysts I follow are talking about a stock market collapse, housing collapse, and a devaluation and collapse of the US dollar. Some of them use complex analytic methods of studying previous collapses which often fall on or around Jewish holidays, and others simply follow and understand market trends. Regardless of their slightly differing conclusions on how the timeline of the collapse may play out, they all seem to agree it's coming.
These countries have decided to form their own way of doing business. They've decided that they're going to do business together and form what's called the BRICS nations. Okay, so you got Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. That's BRICS. Mm-hmm. But then that's 41% of the Earth's population, 41. Now, in addition to that, you have Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Nigeria, Venezuela, Algeria, Turkey, and Argentina. They're all joining up as well. So we're talking, guys, we're talking 70% of the Earth's population. And what they're doing is they're trying to de-dollarize the world and to begin trading assets and commodities and products and services using non-US dollars. So you're seeing the Chinese currency being used, the Russian ruble, and gold. People who are used to listening to the mainstream media, they never hear commercials for gold and silver. If you listen to Fox News, you're not going to hear CNN a commercial for gold and silver. Meanwhile, the BRICS nations are buying up all of the world's gold and silver. The Bank of International Settlements upgraded gold to be a Tier 1 asset. For the first time, something other than the dollar is a Tier 1 asset. What am I saying? I'm saying that your show here, you guys talk about the importance of gold and silver to hold value, and all of the BRICS nations are talking about it, but the American mainstream media, which we know is designed to mislead people, isn't talking about it. But I'm telling you, you are about ready to see a complete and total collapse of the U.S. dollar. Everybody out there, we need to understand that the collapse of the dollar is very imminent, okay? And I want to explain how this is going to happen. And I'm not prophetic, I'm just giving you facts. At some point, Brazil, Russia, India, China, Africa, they're going to roll out their new currency. And they're going to say, moving forward, we're not going to use dollars to trade. We're just not going to. And you're already seeing, by the way, China and Russia are now trading back and forth using, they're not using dollars anymore to trade. Mm-hmm. That's the China and Russia. So it's already happening. And the moment that that happens, the U.S. loses its status as the world's reserve currency, and you're going to begin to see basically the value of the dollar plummet like a rock. People I've met that are people that own banks, people that are very successful. I've said if America becomes no longer the world's reserve currency, what does that do to the dollar? And most have said it will immediately cut the dollar's spending power by about 20 times.
Wow.
So, I mean, you're talking now, we go to the store in America, okay? So now we live in America, and we go to buy, let's say, a hamburger that was $2 today. That would be $40 tomorrow if the dollar loses its standard as the world's reserve currency. The Bank of England, in a bizarre action, they banned the use of paper currency, paper banknotes, effective right now. So right now, today, the 30th, whenever you watch this, but as of September 30th, you can no longer have paper banknotes in the UK as of right now. They just came out with it. They said, done, we can't do it. So you have to use polymer banknotes as of right now.
The Bank of England announced unlimited QE for the bond market in Britain. That's how close we are to a crash. That means they are going to print as much money and buy the bond market as much as it takes. That's an act of desperation, and it's not ultimately going to work.
If you push the Russians out of SWIFT, if you sanction them, if you freeze their assets here in the States, you have every other country in this group, the BRICS, saying, are we next? Is it coming for us next? You think there's any coincidence that China has sold well over $100 billion in treasuries over the last 7 months? They have their eyes set on Taiwan. I think we pushed the Russians right into the open arms of the Chinese and their SIPS system, the cross interbank payment system. That is what the SWIFT is. It mirrors the SWIFT. It is their answer to the SWIFT. We pushed them right into the open arms of this coalesced group. You know, as the world reserve currency, you guys, it's not our job to say who can and can't use it. That's the biggest mistake you can possibly make. And as the world reserve currency, if you weaponize it the way we did against Russia, you are asking for trouble.
Caught in the inflationary storm, many developing nations are asking, why bother exchanging goods for dollars and euros when they are losing value right before our eyes? Indeed, the economy of imaginary wealth is being inevitably replaced by the economy of real valuables and hard assets, says Putin. According to the International Monetary Fund, today's global foreign currency reserves contain $7.1 trillion and 2.5 trillion euros. And this money is depreciating at an annual rate of 8%, says Putin.
In the last 3 years, more money has been created in the last 3 years than in the entire history of the country before.
Bonds are at a 49-year low and stocks are having the worst year ever. The Dow is currently down more than 6,700 points this year alone. The Dow was at 36,338 on December 31st, 2021. The worst year prior to this was 2008 when the Dow was down 4,488 points. If this decrease stands till year's end, this decrease will be the largest decrease for the Dow for any year in U.S. history. The bond markets are at least as bad as the stock markets, if not worse.
So this is the ETF, the exchange traded fund, for investment grade corporate bonds. You buy it like a stock, it's a ticker, but you're not really buying stocks, you're buying a group of investment grade bonds. These are the biggest brand name companies that every single person would know and recognize, companies who pay their debt on time. And this is considered to be insurance. You know, when you talk about a 60-40 investment blend, you invest roughly 60% traditionally in stocks. That's where you're going to really make your money over time. But that 40% of bonds is where you collect some interest over time. And it's insurance against calamitous times. When that 60% gets slammed, normally that 40% stocks gives you some stability. It either increases in value or holds its value. What's happening right now instead is the 60-40 blend is getting decimated. It's getting absolutely shot with both barrels. Bonds on that chart, which I'm showing right there, year to date, in principle, down 22%.
The average American's largest asset is melting away as home sales are plummeting across the country. Mortgage rates have spiked to more than 7% as luxury home sales plummet by 28% and regular market sales sink by 19.5% amid soaring federal interest rates and inflation. According to Mortgage Daily News, 30-year mortgage rates have now hit 7.08%, the highest level in 21 years, following the Federal Reserve's latest 0.75% interest rate hike.
All I'm saying is that between today, which is the 5th of October,
into the 24th, all heck is about to break loose. And you better be positioned by the 24th if you're going to do anything. Because when silver just this past Monday, the stock market was supposed to turn up. If you read my private reports, those are my subscribers, knew last week that the stock market was going to reverse on Monday, October 3rd, and it's exactly what happened, okay? What we are witnessing presently in the stock market is called, and Andrew referenced this last time, you used the word, a dead cat bounce. Yep. So what we're witnessing right now this week, and this week only, is a dead cat bounce on the stock market. Those who don't know what that is, it's a term that it's a technical term, means like it's a final bounce before the real collapse happens, okay? Yep. And when I was on your show in September, what did we say? The stock market is going to drop. Did I get it wrong? Absolutely not.
1,200 points on that, the 23rd.
The 12% drop on the U.S. stock markets to the day of our interview. Yep. So 12% drop on the U.S. stock markets. What didn't happen was a collapse. And we've talked about the word collapse, okay? And so if you look at my timelines, those have seen them in the past, okay? Those timelines, which is the image I was showing me when I was sleeping on page 29, 3 years ago, this cycle on page 29 foretold the collapse that happened in September, okay? But right after the September cycle, there's another window of time, another month, that we could see something because it's a pause. It's a window of time of pause. So all of October is a pause, which means that God can use that for whatever he wants. And the point being is, we haven't had October 24th hit, and all I'm telling you, mark my words, after October 24th, just like September 24th was the start of all this, October 24th is going to be a start of the biggest financial collapse in human history. This is going to be a start of the third seal of Revelation, which is the financial rebalancing. We're going to see the collapse of the financial system, which then leads to the greatest wealth transfer in human history. Anytime on or after November 11th, expect the US dollar to collapse. November 24th, the return of prosperity. So all I'm telling you, as we head into November, the greatest financial event in human history is right in front of us.
So to be very precise, because I know you have a number of people that have contacted me that do trade the markets or have investments. The S&P is at 3697 currently, and the Dow is at 29,525. So basically, we're where we were at on Friday. Now, Monday and Tuesday of this week, we were sloshing back and forth around that, a little above, a little bit below, but we're at the June lows and trying to hold. We need to go up on the Dow to at least, if we can get close to 31,000, that's all I would expect. So we're talking 1,500 Dow points from here. Okay. And it will, if we can get that into Tuesday, October 4th, we're done. We crashed. All right. We'll go through that in a second. 29 and 87, we hit Rosh Hashanah and we began our final rally. That rally, as soon as you hit Yom Kippur, you began to crash. You didn't go higher on Yom Kippur, you began to crash. Yom Kippur is on October 5th, which is Wednesday. So we will be at a high on October 4th. Wherever we're at, that's all she wrote. I'm hoping we can get to 31,000 on the Dow.
Okay.
The steeper the rally, and the deeper the rally, the bigger the crash. Now, it's very counterintuitive, but I'll explain. What I'm saying is the higher the stock market goes, the lower we're going to go in the crash. When you're on a beach and all the water clears off the beach, that means a tsunami is coming. It is using all that energy for the next incoming wave. And this is how the markets work. So the bigger the rally, the bigger the crash. All right.
All right.
So 1987, 1929, we are tracking so far. We're also tracking 1929 to within 1% of its severity, meaning 1929 was bigger. The first move down was bigger than 1987, bigger than 2008, and bigger than 2020. It was 17%, the initial drop. The initial drop this year is 16%. If you count last night, it's 17%. Okay. So what we're looking for is the final rally. Let me be very clear. There should be a final rally into Tuesday. If we get that final rally into Tuesday, I will go maximum short. I'm not telling anybody what to do financially. This is not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I will be at an extreme short position. We should bottom we will crash from Wednesday, October 5th through Friday, October 21st. All right. It'll be 13 days if we crash, it will be 13 days of insanity. You will have never seen a market like this. The closest thing that it'll resemble is 2008. And I think this is going to be way worse. And it will start out of the gate with a bang. It might take Wednesday, might just be a small rollover. By Thursday, everybody, it will be game on. I would think Thursday, we'd be close to 900, 1,000 Dow points down per day. Okay. Thursday, Friday, Monday. Boom, boom, boom. Just thanks for playing. Out of that entire sequence of events from Wednesday through Friday, October 21st, there will only be one day where the market is up. And that's based upon some math, based upon where it's at that time. But tentatively, I would say that the market is poised to be at 2,400 on the S&P, and that's about 20,000 on the Dow at a bare minimum. And I really don't believe that's where it's stopping. I don't think that's where it's going. I think it's going to go much farther than that. At an extreme, I'm not betting on the extreme, but at an extreme, I would not be surprised to see the Dow in the 15,000s. That means we're looking in a 3-week time period. I'm saying the stock market could lose 50% of its value in 13 trading days. What comes next will be a second crash. This is only the first crash. There will be another crash right after it. You've had such massive dislocation in the stock market that it's going to take weeks, if not months, for it to settle down. And that's what I'm expecting, is that we'll have an initial crash into October 21st, and then we will have a secondary crash into Thanksgiving.
With everything going on in the world today, it never hurts to prepare for a crisis. Food shortages are a real possibility today. So I would highly recommend you get yourself some storable food. My favorite source of which is My Patriot Foods. They have a large selection of foods which can be stored up to 25 years. I like to hope for the best but plan for the worst. It's a lot easier to stay motivated when you don't have to be stressed by a crisis because you've already prepared for it. Click the link in the description below and have a look for yourself. I like to think of it as inexpensive peace of mind.